National Press Association. Today we're going to have a very interesting video for you. It's going to teach you how to make some healthy food for your dog. And what we've been doing is for the past 2 or 3 years we've been feeding Georgie a special meatloaf we call Georgie Meatloaf. But meatloaf is a great thing to make for your dog because you know what's going into it. Where we love to buy our meat is Costco, and we buy this big 4-pack of ground turkey meat. I then buy a full pack of, I like the hamburger size, but I buy the ground lean beef. It's only 12% fat, so it's pretty lean. We're going to put in some healthy vegetables like broccoli and string beans that you see over here. And what I've done is I've blanched these first so that they'll be a little bit softer when we mix it in. We're going to grind this all up and then we're going to mix it into the chopped meat. We have some beautiful fresh carrots we're going to grate up. We have some eggs. We're going to put in some green pepper. We like to put in some fruit because fruit's got lots of vitamin C and other nutrients that the dog needs, plus some roughage. So we're going to put in an apple and a pear this time around. We have a zucchini. All right, that's going to go in. We have sweet potatoes, which they love. And we have grated cheese. I actually like to use the cheddar cheese, but we kind of ran out, so we're going to use some mozzarella and see how that works this time. And then I try to throw in some extra things. I have a little bacon bits that we're going to put in there also. And I forgot to mention that we're going to put some celery in there also. We don't use salt, we don't use pepper, we don't use any other flavoring because all these ingredients have so much flavor in it already that once it gets cooked out, you know, in a meatloaf format, we slice it up, we freeze it, and then we bring out one piece for each day for Georgie. We cut it in half, give him half in the morning and half in the evening. So we really have portion control going as well. He loves it. He's been eating it for a long time now, and we would never go back to that dried food because we don't know really where it's made, we don't know what's in it, and we know that they have to heat it to 500 degrees to kill all the bacteria in it. And by that time, they've probably killed all the good things that are in that the original ingredients. So we like to make our own. I usually do it once a month, and the cost is going to be about $35, but you're going to get enough for probably a month and a half, 2 months worth of food for your dog, for the average sized dog. Georgie is 15 pounds. If you have a larger dog, obviously, you're going to go through it a lot faster. All right, so once we mix all the ingredients, we grate it, which I'm going to show you. We're going to put it in these little pans. We spray them, and we're going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour and a half. I like to cook it for a long time. There's going to be a lot of liquid coming out of these vegetables and fruits, so we're going to end up spilling that out. You'll see at the end, and then we let it cool, and then we're going to slice it and we're going to freeze it. Okay, so we're going to stop. We're going to start looking at some of these veggies here that we've got, and first what we're going to do is I have 2 big pots here because we tend to overflow a little bit. So we're going to start dumping the meat. Before I do that, I'm going to put on some rubber gloves. I find that it's easier for me to work this way, especially since I'm going to be mixing all this meat and vegetables together. And now we can dig into this meat. There's 2. There's 3. And incidentally, I like to save these containers also because they're great for gardening. I start a lot of my seeds under lights in February, so we can place them out in the yard later on. So these are great containers. They're quite sturdy. All right, so now we have a lot of turkey meat in here. And we're going to start putting in our chopped meat as well. Got 5 pounds. 5 pounds of chopped meat. I'm not going to put all of it in here. I'm going to put in some of it. By the way, you see on the chopped meat there's some brown areas here. Not to be concerned, that's the lack of oxygen that turns it brown, but the meat is good. You can smell it as long as it smells fresh and it doesn't have a bad odor, it's fine. So that's just a little pointer about your chopped meat. So I think that's enough chopped meat here. We're going to leave a few left over here. We don't need those. And I'm going to start to actually integrate the two kinds of meat together here, because we're going to divide this and start chopping up our vegetables. So this is mostly turkey, and as you know, turkey is very healthy, and it's great for your dog, and it's great for you. And the beef gives a little fat just to give it some flavor. And dogs love, you know, beef all over here temporarily now that we've mixed it. I'm going to use this bowl for all our veggies and other good things here that we've got. So now what we want to do is we want to actually put this into our food processor. So if the camera will follow me a little bit, we're going to put the top on this. And what we're doing is we're using a blade that's going to basically on low. Nice shredded celery that actually is going to blend in real nice to everything else we're doing. So we're going to empty this out into our big bowl here. Okay. We have broccoli and we have string beans now, so we're going to throw that into the blender, into our broccoli and our string beans together. We'll empty this out. We'll do some more. Now we're going to throw some carrots in. And really what we're going to do is we're just going to wash these off and maybe cut off the ends on them. You don't have to peel them. Okay, and here's our carrots. Look how nice they look. Look how great that comes out. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get some of the other veggies. And by the way, you're going to notice that what I do with all my vegetables, I take the scrap and I hold it, I put it in this little container here where I keep all my fruits and vegetable scraps, because we practice vermiculture in our house, and we have a couple of bins down in the basement filled with red wiggler worms, and they're going to turn all this stuff into rich black compost that we're going to use when we do our seedlings, and then when we plant in the garden. We're going to use it, and that becomes our organic fertilizer. So we have the worms working all during the winter, so that in the springtime we're ready to use the compost. We have our peppers, we have some zucchini ready to go into the food processor. Wow, look at this. Is this great? Look how beautiful this zucchini comes out. And this is really good for your dog. We have apples and we have a pear here, so let's wash these off again. Make sure there's no pesticides on these. So we're going to clean those up. And we're going to take out the seeds, because that's not good for your animal, for your pet. Dogs do not eat apple cores and apple seeds. I guess everybody out there knows you don't feed your dog raisins or grapes and onion and garlic and a bunch of other things that are not good for the dog. Certainly chocolate, which we all know is not good for your dog. Meatloaf is actually good enough for you to give to your family members, but again, remember, we haven't added a lot of flavoring into it, so your taste buds might be a little bit different than your dog's. An apple and a pear, and it filled up the whole container here. So now we're going to put in our sweet potato, which we peeled already, and we cut into smaller pieces so that it'll go into the Cuisinart a little bit easier. Okay, so here we are, and here's all that special coleslaw that we just put together. We're going to mix this up. You can see why we need 2 bowls for this. We actually could use a 3rd bowl to kind of combine all these ingredients together, but we'll try to manage with this and see how we make out. We're making a little bit extra this time because we're going to be away for a while, so we want to make sure we have enough food. Okay, so now in here what we're going to do is we're going to combine some other ingredients. We have some eggs, and we're going to put in 3, maybe 4 eggs, because there's a lot here. We're going to get 1 more egg, I think, directly in here. And you notice we're also saving the eggshells for our worms because they love those. That's roughage. It helps them digest the food. A little sand or soil into your vermiculture also is good. It helps them grind up the food. And then we have our cheese that we're going to throw in here also. Normally I would throw in a complete package, which I think is about 8 ounces, or maybe even more, because you know dogs just love. Yeah, I forgot to mention that we prepared some brown rice prior to the filming, and we put in a full bowl here. It's probably about, I don't know, maybe a cup and a half. We can probably even add a little bit more, but we like to do that. Again, brown rice is good. It's fiber. It's good for the dogs. And you notice if you start reading some of the ingredients, even on the internet, on some of these fancy dog foods that demand fancy prices, you're going to find that a lot of the things that we put in here today is included in theirs. The difference is ours is fresh. Ours is all fresh and good and wholesome. And we don't have to heat it to 500 degrees and extrude it into something hard that looks like a pellet. Your dog is going to love the texture of this, and he's going to love the taste of this. So that's why we make our own. All right, so here comes our bacon bits that we add. That's our final little ingredient. We're going to give this another mix here because we threw another egg in here. So we have 4 eggs in here now. Okay. Wow, this looks good enough to eat, doesn't it, guys? Look at this coleslaw. All right. So now we're going to take some of this and throw it into this pot just for the sake of mixing this with the meat. And we'll take some meat out over here. And kind of use your own discretion in terms of how much. I don't measure a lot of stuff. I guess through doing this a number of times, you kind of get a feel for it. So we just want to make sure it's not too much vegetable in here, that, you know, there's just enough here, but the meat's going to hold us all together. And I'll show you what this looks like in a second, because we're going to end up putting this into one of the meatloaf pans. Pam spray so that the meatloaf doesn't stick to the pan. Even though this is a non-stick pan, I like to spray it anyhow. And you're going to see why later on when we take it out of the oven. It just kind of separates completely from the pan, and then you can just pour off the extra liquid. Okay, so let's see what we got here, guys. Look at this. Wow, this is good stuff. Alright, here we go. And we want to make this pretty. So, I tuck in the edges a little bit. Alright, so the liquid. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get some ketchup. Alright, my aide is going to get me some ketchup now. And we're going to coat the top with some ketchup. And that gives it a really nice coating, and the dogs tend to love it. So we're going to put some ketchup on the top of this. Yeah, baby. Oh yeah, look at this. Okay. Alright, here's our Georgie Meatloaf, and it's ready to go into the oven. Into the oven at 350 degrees. And what we're going to do is, I like to set the timer just so I don't have to kind of remember what's going on here. So I set my timer for 90 minutes. And we're going to start. Okay, so we have the meatloaf at 350 degrees for 90 minutes. I like to cook it a little bit longer to make sure it's not pink on the inside. And we're going to add another 4 pans, maybe even 5 pans. So we should have plenty of food for a couple of months for Georgie. We're going to come back to the video once we pull it out of the oven to show you exactly what it looks like once it's been cooked. And then we'll show you how we slice it up and we freeze it and how Georgie loves to eat it. Okay. Good morning. Here we are. Last night we put 5 loaves of our meatloaf wrapped in saran wrap into the refrigerator because we wanted to chill it so that it makes it a little bit easier to cut it and freeze it today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what I do. Here we've got a full loaf, one of the loaves that we just prepared. And what I try to do is cut this up into daily portions for Georgie. Again, my portions might be a little bit smaller than yours depending upon the size of your dog, but what I try to do is cut it with a nice serrated knife that's pretty sharp. And as you can see, I'm cutting probably about 3/4 of an inch. You're going to have to use your judgment on this, and you know, I really don't weigh this, but I guess it's about 4 ounces, 5 ounces of meat. And each day what I do is I cut this in half, and I feed him half in the morning and half in the evening when we have our dinner. He doesn't like to eat unless we're physically at the table eating. He's got strange habits, my little boy. So let's see how many good slices we can get, how many days out of this one particular loaf here. Generally 5 loaves is going to give me about 60 slices totally. So that's enough for 2 months. And my cost going in is probably about $35, maybe a little bit more, for 2 months. So that's about 50 cents a day, and I don't think I could ever buy you know, any decent dog food for that price. What I do is I use wax paper, all right, to pack it. And I take a little piece here. And the reason I like to use the wax paper is because after I freeze it, it tends to break apart easily for me. And I'm going to end up putting this in a nice gallon Ziploc bag here. And you see I've got a couple in here before. And we're going to seal this, and then we're going to put it in the freezer. Now, when I take it out of the freezer, it's going to look like this. It's all frozen, and because we have wax paper, it breaks apart fairly easily. If not, I just give it a little hit and it'll break apart. I generally put this in the microwave, in a paper plate in the microwave, and I put it in for about a minute or so, take the wax paper off, and may have to put it in for a little bit longer than that, another half a minute or so, to defrost it. And then I'll cut it up in half, and then I'll break it up with a fork into the plate, and probably throw it in for another 10 or 12 seconds just to warm it up to the touch, and then I put it down for Georgie.
It's for you.
Georgie's gonna eat more. Marley's getting angry now. He said, "Don't eat my food. Don't eat my food, Georgie. Don't let Georgie eat your meatloaf." I think you can see how much the dogs love the meatloaf. Georgie cleaned up his plate. He was ready to go to Marley's plate to eat his. And they're going to lick the plate clean. Very neat. Got something off the plate, so he's going to pick it up. Marley. Oh, that was good. Oh, did you like Daddy's meatloaf? Thank you for joining me today. It was my pleasure. A lot of people have asked me about making Georgie's meatloaf and how do I do it. So I'm glad that you had a chance to view the video. I hope you're going to take this opportunity to go out and do what I did and buy fresh fruits and vegetables and ground turkey meat and chopped meat and make your own. It really, it's a little bit of an effort, you know, but don't forget, you're going to have 2 months supply if you do it the way we do it, and it's going to run you about 50 cents to $1 a day to feed your average sized dog. The good thing about it is you're going to actually save money because you're not going to have to buy vitamins or other supplements for the dog. You're not going to have to take him to the vet as often because he's going to be living a healthy life and eating a healthy diet. Again, vets have told us many, many times that stay away from the dry food. It's a misnomer that it cleans their teeth, the dry food. They certainly grind their teeth on bones and other things, toys. And you're going to brush their teeth hopefully every once in a while, so you don't have to really feed them the dry food. It's just, to me, it's a lazy man's way of feeding a dog. Make the effort, treat your dog right. He's going to love you for it. He's going to be the best companion ever. And Georgie Meatloaf is just a wonderful way to show your dog some love. Now, we want you to visit our website. We have two websites. Our main website is internationalpress.com. Our organization is made up of freelance photographers and journalists, independent members of the media from around the globe. We invite you to join us if you're interested in photography or writing or would like to see some of your work published. Please join us at IPA. Our brand new magazine online is called Impress. That's IMPRESS. And our website is IPAimpress.com. I am the president and editor-in-chief of Impress and also IPA, so I look forward to welcoming you as a member and maybe as part of our staff. Once again, thank you for joining me. I'm sure Georgie is very happy. And by the way, Georgie does have his own Facebook group. Go visit it at I Love Georgie on Facebook. And you can certainly visit me on Facebook as well. I'm under Len Rappaport. And we do have an Impress group. Please go in and click that like button and you'll be up to date on all the new things that are happening at Impress and certainly that are happening in my life. All right, take care and thank you very much for joining me.